Good morning, seekers and quilt people. How are you today? I'm doing really well. Happy to be back and excited about today's topic, which is finding I am. Wait, let's get started. This has been a topic that has been brought to my attention recently, and I am shocked. Of course, it's like right on time, right? Like I'm ready for the lesson and then the teacher appears, right? And that's ultimately how it all works. That's ultimately where we're going, is to when we're ready, the teacher appears. So what does that say? That's about alignment of self. And in that alignment of self, we ground. We ground our energy. And I know in the last video I got a little bit like out there. Because that's just where I do a lot of my work, and whether people can hang with that truth or not is not up to me, right? That's just my truth. And so I'm in here every day trying to ground myself in my truth, in my I am. The ego wants to deal in story. And last lesson was so helpful for me in evaluating how much of my life I talk about through story. Ego will often co-opt story in order to make its own actions make sense, right? Like it's how people who participate in nationalism or people who participate in even sports teams, feel an affinity to, they egoically attach to and find themselves a part of something that is outside of themselves. Sometimes even to the point where they can commit atrocities that they themselves would not necessarily do. However, in the name of group ego, they will. Ego talks in story. Like we started to, unpack last time, like what's my story? And I was shocked to see, because if level 2 is the container, everything inside of me, everything inside of my container, and examining what is there. The greatest lesson in level 1 was separation, right? Finding that, that's not me out there. I'm only here inside myself, and finding that separation, right, from things that are upsetting or triggering, because that's not me. When we ground into the resonance of I am, it takes away story. My story, my very sad story of my life, right? I've been really examining over the last week. Can I tell that story? Can I tell my life's story from behind the lens of gratitude and use only high vibration words? I can. I absolutely can, right? And I started to put that together for myself to change my story from a story of sadness and complaint, because that's where the ego lives, right? From sadness and complaint to one of joy and celebration. Yes, I can do that. And that's up to me. That's a me thing, right? Like I can always, from this point forward, tell my story honestly from behind the lens of love and joy. Because there was so much in there that I'm not paying attention to. And again, it's not always our fault, because, through evolution, we were taught, right, that if there's something negative or bad in the environment, such as a predator or enemy, that our brain brings that to the forefront of our attention. It will always bring to our attention the negative first. It's a survival technique, but it's one we don't necessarily need anymore, because it co-opts things that aren't actually harmful or dangerous, right, into our lives and presents them as harmful or dangerous, such as people's opinions, right? It's not really harmful or dangerous. Well, it can be dangerous if put into action from behind attack thoughts into attack actions. So grounding in the space of I am It removes all the ego, all the story, all of the negativity from our lives. Because my container cannot be carrying around a very sad story and expect to live in happiness, right? Like, I hope that makes sense. And so I'm shocked to have found the power and the grounding nature of I am. How it completely rids us of story and ego. That last video, I felt really pleased about unveiling some parts of myself that maybe not everyone in the world can hang with or find true. Such as my experience with angels, right? Like, that's not something I, tell everyone other than the internet. Oh, you guys. But it's not something I generally lead with, right? Because a lot of people won't be able to hang with that. That's not my issue, that's not my problem, that's not my fight, that's not my anything to have an opinion about, that's not mine, right? Because that's all over there, living in the minds of others. And I'm over here, grounding myself in I am. I am a person who has experienced and learned from beings and angels and things like that. But I want to just take a step back from that so that we can understand how I arrived to that place and that moment. How is it I arrived to having an experience with angels, right? Because in shamanism, nothing and nobody that ever was or ever will be is out of reach. I can go and communicate with anybody, right? Shamanism is the study of energy, right? If a shaman is the doctor of the soul, then shamanism is the study of the energy that makes the body animated, that makes the body work, that makes the body a connection and a conduit to a higher place. That's what shamanism is. And so one thing we really study and work on is our journeying state. A journeying state is a place within the mind that you develop and get to. It's almost like a trance, right? And that's why they often use drums and rattles, because what they're doing is they're imbuing the space, right, with a new vibration to allow in for something new, something that isn't you. All of this work is done in the mind, right? Obviously. So if you think that I went on a journeying state and met angels, that's cool. If you thought I was just laying down and taking a nap and having a dream about angels, that's cool too. It does not matter to me, because the experience was the same to me. The learning was the same for me. And that's what it's all about, is using the portal of our imagination and inkling, if you will, to go in and chase information, to find information that just comes up to us, right, from the other side, from behind the veil. And it's a study, it's a practice that you have to work on and be surrounded by masters in order to better understand. I'm just trying to dumb it down, so that we can all get on board with kind of like where I am in my process and kind of explain how it is I have arrived at a lot of these things. And if you just think I'm making it up and that I didn't actually, speak to or was in the presence of angels, that's fine too. What I can tell you, though, is after I had that experience, we had a massive earthquake under our house, to the point where my husband and I were, we were in separate rooms. But it was totally, it was a really big experience and a really big moment. And again, if you think that actually happened, or if you think it's all in my head, I'm good either way, because both are true, at least to me, right? It did happen in my mind. I did experience understanding, to the point where I have a better understanding of the energy signature of an angel that I can learn from. That's just made up, that's fine too, so long as I'm learning from it, right? So I wanted to ground where we are right now in what is core shamanism. How is it that I arrived to this learning through information portals found in nature and found in everything that is? That's the difference that I find between shamanism and a lot of other religions. Well, shamanism isn't a religion, it's a practice. And there's 1,000 different ways that you can practice shamanism, right? Animal tracking is its own course in shamanism. Learning to communicate with plants is its own study in shamanism. Ancient songs, drumming and rattle, that's another way to study shamanism. Tarot cards, speaking with the dead. Like it's a really big tent that you can go and study a bunch of different stuff under. And again, nobody that ever was or ever will be, that includes anywhere in the universe, not even necessarily just here on Earth, is available to you through shamanism. We're not limited by time or space. We can go and visit with them through the portal of our imagination to go and learn. Now, again, I'm really simplifying it so that everybody can kind of understand the connection point, the access point, and the portal to which we use to go and learn. Shamanism, for me, has really changed the way I experience the world. It has changed the way I experience myself because I am not looking at nature when I'm out on my property. I'm a part of nature. And that's a really big shift that us a lot in the Western world don't really grasp. So, access to angels, access to any deity is available to us to go and learn from. Even Athena, even Joan of Arc, even any saint that's ever lived, even my higher self. Not just my higher self, my highest self is available for me to go and visit and speak to through that portal. It's just another way of learning. It's another way of getting your mind to access new information. In shamanism, we like not just the journeying state, but how to do the journeying state, how to empty yourself from yourself, how to remove all of you from you. And what that does essentially is it creates a vacuum, right, for the new to come in. And so knowing that, like, that's the place that I go to write all my books, to receive information, and how I know it's true, at least for me, is that when I'm writing my books and it's coming out on the page, like, I'm actually learning from it. It's like my keyboard is like a Ouija board, right? And while I'm participating in it, obviously, because it's my body, I don't always participate in the information that's coming through. I'm just a clear channel, a hollow bone to other information. And it's like when I wrote my first book on shamanism, never having taken a class on the topic, and then finding an editor who had their doctorate in shamanism to go and check my work with. Because am I crazy? I don't know what this is. Can someone please explain me to me? And that's when it was like confirmed to me, yes, what you're writing is in fact core shamanism. It's like, I don't know what that is, and I can't think about it in terms of Dale. I have to think about it in terms of me in conjunction with the intelligence of the universe. Because again, like, it's such an interesting process. It's called automatic writing, and it's just a free association writing, right? But what comes out on the page, again, like, I'm constantly learning from, and I can't help but feel that there's so much information on the page that I don't know, that it didn't necessarily, I mean, if it's coming from my subconscious, that's great. You know, if it's coming from somewhere beyond me, that's fine as well. I don't care where it's coming from necessarily. I just care about the process and what I'm learning in this work. This last week, and finding the great I am, is a complete wholesale shift in the way that I interact with the world, in the way that I see the world, in the way that I am no longer a victim of the world. Why? Because I am the maker of stars. I am everything that's going on around me. I am the universe within the universe, right? I mean, and I know that I'm kind of talking in a grand way. However, when you get to that place and you understand the power found in I am, it gets right to the heart of the matter. It gets right to what we're all kind of looking for, but until we evolve past the ego, can't see. I am truly grateful for having found this new place, this grounding in I am. It's hard to explain, and I'm still just on the very edges of it, but if level 2 is examining everything within our container, what can't exist in my container is story and ego. Look how much story and ego I've been carrying around, right? My very sad story, because the energy signature of the ego will always be certainty, right? We've talked about that before. Will always be certainty, and it will always be rigidity, and it will always be disconnection from self. When you live in story, you are disconnected from self. When you live in I am, you are grounded in self. Those two things couldn't be more different. I am. I am what? I am anything I want to be. Marianne Williamson's quote about our fear isn't that we are powerless. Our fear is how powerful we are. I have seen people living from behind the I am. And I have seen how that is power. Like real power there in the way that they can direct everything and everyone around them while seated in I am. Because they understand that if something in their environment is not going, right, that's a them thing. That they themselves take responsibility for that. It's like the story I told before about the wildfires that were raging in this one area, and they brought in this shaman, and she had her little prayer hut, right? And she saw something wrong in her environment, and she knew that was something that was wrong within her, not wrong within the world. And once she found the thing that was, out of alignment within herself, once she made that correction, the fire went out. Shamanism deals in energy only. That's the only thing we look at, that's the only thing we study, is the energy behind the thing, right? The energy signature of your words, the energy signature of your country, the energy signature of you, the energy signature of everything that's seen and unseen. The energy signature of your emotions, the energy signature of you. I don't fully have the I am down yet. Like it's a brand new concept to me, so I'm still like kind of finding my way through what's in here. But I have found that when I can get still and ground into I am, right? I am one. I am love. I am non-judgment. I am forgiveness. I am successful. I am healthy. I am wealthy, and I am wise. I am all of those things. Because it brings the will of you into the present moment, which is the will of God, right? So, again, I don't have it down fully yet. Maybe next week I'll have a little bit more handle on it, but I just wanted to come in here and talk about this new experience that I'm having in grounding myself within myself without a sad story, without sadness of any kind, without frustration of any kind, without any of the energy signature of the ego within. None of it deserves to be in here. What deserves to be in here in my container is what I call I am. What deserves to be in here is I am love, I am patience, I am non-judgment, I am grace, I am all these high vibration words, right? Try that and just see how it changes. Like, again, I've only been working on this for 2 days now, so it's super new. But It's changing me. It's changing my container. It's changing my vibration because I'm able to tap into and ground myself in I am power. I am love. I am so much more than what I'm seeing out there. And none of that is me. I am. I am. Anyways, that's where we are today. I hope that you are doing well, and I will talk to you next week. All right, bye.